A very good day to all of you and welcome back to my channel. Today let's talk about Jeet Thayil's poem Life Sentence. Life Sentence published in 1998. Jeet Thayil, born in 1959. Jeet Thayil is an Indian English poet, novelist and a musician known for his experimental and a modernist approach to poetry. His works often explore themes of addiction, existential despair, identity, and the passage of time. He is also recognized for his novel Narcopolis, which deals with the themes of addiction and urban decay. The poem Life Sentence by Jeet Thayil was first published in 1998 in an article. Life Sentence is one of his notable poems that it delves into existence, mortality, and the nature of time itself. The title itself carries a double meaning, both as a legal punishment and as the inescapable experience of life itself. The poem is introspective, meditative, and reflective of Thayil's own struggles with addiction, survival, and a literary consciousness. Summary of the poem. Life Sentence is a short but intense poem that captures the weight of life's burdens. It can be interpreted in multiple ways depending on the reader's perspective. Opening lines: Burden of time. The poem begins by establishing a tone of resignation and inevitability. The poet acknowledges that life is a sentence, something that must be endured rather than celebrated. The phrase life sentence hints at a punishment, suffering, and the lack of escape from existence. Middle section: Reflection on experience. The poet reflects on time, regret, and the consequences of past actions. The poem could allude to addiction, self-destruction, or existential weariness. There is a sense of detachment, as if life is something happening to the speaker rather than something they are actively shaping. Closing lines: Acceptance or defiance. The poem ends in a way that suggests either acceptance of fate or a quiet resistance to it. The poet acknowledges the inevitability of time and mortality, yet there is an underlying sense of survival. It leaves the reader with an open-ended question, that is life a punishment, or is there meaning hidden within its repetition? The poem's minimalist style and a compressed intensity make it a powerful commentary on existence and endurance. Characters in the poem: the speaker, that the poet's persona. The voice in the poem appears to be the poet himself or a persona who reflects his existential thoughts. The speaker is introspective, weary, and resigned to the weight of existence. The concept of time. Time itself feels like a character in the poem, an oppressive force that it dictates the speaker's life. Unseen figures, possibly society or addiction. The poem might reference external forces, social expectations, personal struggles, or the ghost of the past that it contributes to the feeling of imprisonment. Now let's talk about the themes in the work. Existential crisis and mortality. The poem explores the fragility of life and the inevitability of death. It captures the feeling of being trapped in a cycle, unable to escape time's grasp or grip. Addiction and self-destruction. Thayil's personal history with a drug addiction often influences his work. The poem could symbolize the struggle of addiction as a life sentence, a battle that never truly ends. Next theme, the weight of the past. Regret and memory play a role in shaping the speaker's perception of life. The poem hints at mistakes, consequences, and the inability to undo the past. Time as an oppressive force. Time is portrayed as unforgiving, relentless, and inescapable. The speaker's resignation to time suggests a philosophical reflection on endurance rather than rebellion. The search for meaning. Despite its dark tone, the poem leaves room for philosophical inquiry. Can suffering be meaningful? Is endurance itself an act of defiance? Setting of the poem. The setting is abstract and psychological rather than physical. It could represent a mental prison that is trapped in one's own thoughts, or a decaying urban landscape similar to Thayil's work in Narcopolis. The setting is a timeless void where past, present and future blend into one inescapable sentence. The lack of a specific setting reinforces the universal nature of the poem's existential themes. Criticism and analysis. Minimalist and a compressed style. The poem's short, direct lines create a sense of urgency and despair. It avoids unnecessary embellishment, making each word more impactful. Double meaning of life sentence. The title itself is a clever wordplay, symbolizing both a punishment and the duration of human life. This dual meaning adds depth and a interpretive flexibility. Influence of beat poetry and modernism. Thayil's poetry is influenced by Beat generation poets like Allen Ginsberg, who wrote about drugs, existentialism, and urban decay. His free verse style reflects modernist influences, rejecting traditional poetry structures. Nihilism versus survival. While the poem appears nihilistic, there is also a sense of endurance and survival. The poet does not advocate despair, but instead acknowledges the burden of life while continuing forward. Comparison to other works. This poem aligns with Thayil's broader themes found in Narcopolis, where characters struggle with addiction, time, and existential crisis. It also shares similarities with the existential poetry from poets like T.S. Eliot and Charles Bukowski. Now let's analyze the main lines from the poem. Words came late, if they came at all. The line expresses the struggle and the failure of a language to fully capture emotion or experience. The next line. The page is blank and the mind a rage of silence. It conveys the torment of creative paralysis and the frustration of unexpressed thought. Each day is another sentence. Life is depicted as a repetitive confinement burdened by monotony and time. Memory is a fragile thing, a bubble in a dream. Memory is portrayed as delicate, fleeting, and unreliable. You hear a voice, you're on, but it is someone else speaking. The line reveals a sense of alienation and a disconnection from one's own identity. The next line. The city dissolves in rain and smoke. The imagery evokes urban decay and the transient, unstable nature of reality. The next line. There are debts you will never pay and names you will never forget. It reflects lingering guilt, unresolved pasts, and haunting memories. You wake to the same mistakes, the same hours, the same sorrow. The line captures the despair of repetition and the inescapable cycle of suffering.